Welcome to my channel. So today I want to discuss about the most useful programming languages to learn out there. We all want to know what is best for us to get started. That's a given. So that's why I've decided to create this video to give the top list of programming languages to learn in 2017. The reason why I've decided to create this video is because I still get up till today these frequent questions of what are the best programming languages to learn in 2017, what are the best places to learn it. That's why I've decided to compile this list. And the aim of the list is not to beat whatever list from Stack Overflow or from some top websites out there. This list is basically opinionated, so it's about myself. I'm a software developer. I've been developing software and web applications for about 5 years now, so I have a bit of experience with all of these languages that I've compiled on this list, and I know why it's good for each and every one of you. If you're a beginner or if you're already a developer looking to learn another language in 2017, you're going to find your best bet right here in this list. So go on with me and welcome to the list. This is JavaScript. I've decided to pair them together with TypeScript because I just feel like they're the same. I've worked with JavaScript and I've worked with TypeScript. What I see is that it's two languages with one extending the other. TypeScript is an extension of JavaScript. That's why they call it superset of JavaScript. What this means is that TypeScript has decided to introduce some new functionalities, somewhat more advanced. Many of these things taken from C# have been introduced into JavaScript, but you cannot know TypeScript if you don't know JavaScript very well. Trust me. Like, you need to know JavaScript to an extent. You need to already get all the basics of JavaScript before you go push yourself into learning TypeScript. Don't be confused with that. You need JavaScript in your life. You need JavaScript in all your web development projects of today. You cannot avoid JavaScript, except you don't wish to build web applications. It's fine. Then if you don't want to build web applications, go learn Java, for example, or C#, game development, C++, or C. Don't mess with JavaScript. But if you want to do web development, you can never avoid JavaScript from your list. JavaScript is very useful in your life. JavaScript is fast. It's very fast. It's a client-side language. JavaScript is useful. There is a lot of job postings on JavaScript. JavaScript is expensive. To hire a developer in JavaScript, you see, like, you can get as much as 170,000 if you're a senior developer in JavaScript, and there's too many tutorials out there not for you not to learn JavaScript. Make sure you already know it very well. You're already working and building projects in JavaScript, then move on to learning frameworks like Angular. Angular 2 is very popular now, used with TypeScript, and then you can use React.js, which is a library built by Facebook. You can also try out with Ember, for example, but my best of them all has been React and Angular. So you choose any one of that. Also, that also needs your focus for another like 3 to 6 months as well. Then you can start using it. The thing about learning all this stuff is you just need to make sure you're using it on a project. You just don't want to be watching tutorials alone and not using it on some other projects that that you probably love, something that you can show off, something that you can upload on GitHub and so on, something that you can test by yourself and introduce it to your friends and so on. So you need to be able to, as you're learning many of these things, you also need to be using it in a project. So the next on my list is Java. Java is still very popular. It's still very useful. It's still one of the most popular languages. Java is secure, so it's used mostly with enterprise applications. It's one of the first languages to consider security as part of its design. I've included here some of the links for beginning with Java. Java is also used with Android development, so it's still very useful today because Android and iOS still remains top of the list in operating systems for mobile. So Java is very, very useful. It's a good language to start with because it enforces some of the best architectures of software development into you, such that when you learn Java, for example, as your first language, by the time you go to other languages like Python or Swift or Ruby, you would already know all the basics and all the rudiments of software architecture and design. So Java is useful for you if that's what you want to go for. It's a good start because many universities today still teach Java as their first language to their students. So it's a useful language to start with. Next on my list is Node.js. Node.js is a backend server-side language. Node.js is known for event-driven server-side JavaScript environment based on Google's V8 engine. It is very useful for real-time applications like, for example, maps. It's very useful for chat engines or team collaborators. For example, like an application where you need your team to collaborate and be real-time. Node.js is like JavaScript. It's very fast. It is just JavaScript on the back end. That's it, and that's enough to understand how fast the code executes. Moreover, it runs on Google's V8 engine, which compiles JavaScript code directly into machine code, making it faster than most of the server-side languages out there. Also, we have Node Package Manager. It's an open source technology. Node.js has a shared repository of excellent tools and modules. The number of modules in NPM is considerably on the verge of overtaking the Ruby on Rails gem community. The event-driven architecture of Node.js makes it the best choice for real-time applications, especially chat applications and web games. Because client-side and server-side are written in JavaScript, the synchronization process is better and quicker. Also, in terms of productivity of a web app increases several folds with Node.js because a lot of time is saved in between the lines. Merging the front end and back end into a single entity makes it efficient. PayPal, for example, reported 2 times increase in developer productivity after integrating Node.js into their development. It's also good for building APIs. It's perfect for handling lots of requests that are input-output driven, e.g. operations on database, and it also scales very nicely. Real-time applications, chat apps, games are some of the things you can use Node.js for. Python and Ruby can accommodate this, but Node.js will perform better. It's also good for live streaming applications and data-heavy websites. So that's it for Node.js. If it's your best choice, you go for it. It's actually simple to start once you already learn JavaScript very well. Number 4 on my list is Python. It's the best. It's the best language for any beginner programmer out there. Trust me, Python is something you want to learn if you're new to programming. The reason being that its syntax is very easy to begin with. It's very easy to learn as well. It has a very large community of people who already knows Python, and on this list, Python has the highest pay. Like, based on my research, it's Python has the biggest of all the pays on this list, meaning professionals in Python are still highly required out there. Like, people need professionals in Python. It's easy to learn for even a novice developer. It's easy to code and read Python code. Execute a lot of complex functionalities real quick with ease thanks to the standard libraries. It supports multiple systems and platforms. It's also object-oriented programming driven. It's very good for data science with libraries like NumPy and Pandas. Also, creating gadgets is now easier in Python with Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a card-sized microcomputer. You can build cameras, radios, and games with ease in Raspberry Pi, integrated with Python. Also, if you want to do web development, there is Django framework. It's very fast and designed to help developers take applications from concept to completion as quickly as possible. It's also quick for development using less code, unlike Java, for example. What you would write with like 20 lines of code in Java, you would write with like 10 or 5 lines of code in Python. Yahoo, Google, IBM, NASA are one of the examples of big companies using Python. Some of the disadvantages of Python though is that it's slow. It can be slow, but if you're a beginner, you better just not consider that. This this is for big companies. Like Python can be slow for them, so they try to migrate to other programming languages. But still, you're going to get hired. You can create a very big project if you know Python very well. And it's not a good language for mobile development, for example. In a world today where everything is mobile first, Python is not very good for mobile development. And it's not a good choice for memory intensive tasks, for example. And like I said, you don't need to consider this if you're a beginner. It's nearly impossible to build high graphic 3D games in Python also. And also it has limitations with database access, and it's not good for multi-processor and multi-core tasks. But aside from that, Python is a good programming language to start with if you're a beginner. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. So the next on my list is Swift programming language, developed by Apple for the development of iOS and Mac applications. It's very cool. It's it's one of the top programming languages out there. I've included also some links for you guys to learn Swift if you're interested in starting with Swift. It's easy to read and write Swift code. It's very similar to Python. So if you already know Python, you go for Swift, man. It's a good place to start. It requires less syntax compared to Objective-C, which results in shorter overall code length. It's a functional programming language, which means you can do neat tricks like passing functions as variables, write highly generic code that can do a lot of different things, thereby reducing repetition. You also have less memory management to worry about if you're coding in Swift. But some of the worries about Swift can be if you're on Windows, you cannot use Swift because it only works with Xcode. So it's either you have Mac OS operating system on your computer for you to be able to use Xcode and also develop applications in Swift. So that's just it for Swift, but Swift is a good language to start with. Everyone is developing mobile applications. So if you know Swift programming, you're good to get a job, you're good to find a very nice project to work on. As you can see, the salary is high. It's also one of the highest paid developers in Swift are also one of the highest paid developers. If you're good with Swift, you're guaranteed to get a good job. Next on my list is Ruby. I've also included some links for you guys to check out Ruby. Ruby is a good place to get started if Ruby is what you want to do. Big companies like Airbnb, Twitter, Udacity, all these guys developed their application in Ruby on Rails. So Ruby is a very good language to start with if that's what you want to do. Do check out the tutorials. Some of the reasons why you want to use Ruby though is because it's easy to learn also, but it's easier to learn if you already have a prior knowledge of best practices in object-oriented programming and functional programming language. This means a beginner might not quickly grab it, but it doesn't mean you will never grab it. You're just going to have to spend more time doing it. It also has this framework called Rails. Rails is one of the main reasons why Ruby is on this list. It's one of the reasons why Ruby is popular. Rails is good for small projects. You can easily create a very fast project in Ruby on Rails within probably 2 to 3 days. And development time is reduced 40 to 50% when compared to other languages. It's good for large projects also, but only when you have deeper understanding of a lot of neat tricks that Rails has to offer. It's flexible. You can easily modify and improve and extend your small projects in Ruby on Rails. Then you have active record. In Rails, active records makes your life really easy. You don't have to write raw SQL codes. It's an ORM that makes your life easier, and it makes it easy for you to write your database codes. It also has this thing called MVC scaffolding. It enforces this model view controller architecture on you that you would have to take with you everywhere you go. In every other programming languages you do, you're going to need model view controller architecture. It enforces this convention on you. Even if you're a new programmer, you learn how to structure your code, where these things you can't learn it in programming languages like PHP. And it does a lot of automation for you, so it lets you focus on what you really want to do. And then you have gems in Ruby on Rails. There's a lot of gems to do all the tasks, almost all the tasks that you want to do. Just think of the task, search if there is a gem for it, and you're always going to get it. The community is very large. You're always going to find people to help you with your Ruby on Rails problems. It's also easy to debug Rails applications. But some of the issues with Ruby on Rails is that it's hard to scale, but you don't have to worry about that if you're a beginner, because I mean, before you build an application to an extent where millions of users are using it, it means you're already popular and a lot of investors are already looking at you and they probably already invested in your application. So it's easier for you to probably get professionals in Ruby on Rails or in other applications like Scala, for example. Twitter moved all their backend to Scala just to scale because it was becoming a problem for them. But before they had to do that, they already had millions of users using their application. Airbnb is still using Ruby on Rails today, and Udacity is still using Ruby on Rails today. So, but also Active Records, as simple as it is to use, it can also make your life hard if your database design knowledge is very bad. So you can easily mess with your database design and you can easily mess up your application. So you be careful with that if Ruby on Rails is what you decide to go for. It's also very hard to find affordable hosting for Ruby on Rails applications compared to PHP applications. But you can start with Heroku, for example. You can host your applications for free on Heroku, and then when you get it to work fully blown, then you can move to paid hosting. It's also hard to find talent to improve your small projects in Ruby on Rails if you don't want to concentrate on it. So it's either you decide to learn it very well and be the boss, be your own boss, or you're always going to suffer for helps. So that's it for Ruby on Rails. If that's what you want to do, good luck. So the next on my list is C and C++. I've decided to group these two programming languages together because um, you only need to pick one of these languages, let's be honest. If you want to learn C, just focus on learning C. Don't disturb yourself with C++ just yet. And if you want to learn C++, just start with C++. Don't worry about C just yet. So pick one, just the way I did with TypeScript and JavaScript. This is what is going on also with C++ and C. Pick one, stick to it, learn it very well before you advance to the other. Then you're going to start seeing that there's a lot of similarities in both of them. A lot of big companies are using C today. Even your operating system from where you're watching my video right now is built on C and C++. Microsoft, Oracle, a lot of databases in the world is written in C++. And also, you want to learn C++, there is a lot of links also that I've attached there. There's a lot of free tutorials online. You get a good money if you learn C++. Adobe, for example, all the Adobe suites, Photoshop, Illustrator, everything is written in C++. Amazon, Facebook, all these guys, NASA, they are all using C++. It's a very efficient language. It's very efficient for low-level programming tasks, mostly used in building games. For example, almost all major games are made with C++, and almost all databases are written in C++, SQL, Postgres, all of them, C++. It also provides performance and memory efficiency. It's compatible with C, so your C code can run on C++ compiler, no problem, it will run. The only difference is that C++ is object-oriented programming. It's introduced that. That was actually the reason why C++ was created, for object-oriented programming. It has support for inline functions. It supports functions with default arguments. The disadvantages could be probably it's complex in very large high level programs. Commonly used for platform-specific applications, C++ does not support garbage collection. It also does not support dynamic memory allocation. It also does not support built-in threads. But it's a very good language to learn. If you have this in your portfolio, you're guaranteed a job in places like Amazon, Google, and all those big companies out there. Um, let's talk about C, for example. C is very cool. It's used in embedded systems like Arduino. I'm going to attach a link for you to learn Arduino if you want. I'm also going to attach some links for you to learn C if you're interested in learning C from beginning to advanced. It's a low-level language. It's used to build most of your operating systems, even all of it. Linux is written in C, for example. A large part of Microsoft's operating system is also written in C. Many programming languages today are written in C. Python is written in C. So C is a very good language to start with if you're ready to go through the headache. Yeah, go for it. C is a building block for many other currently known languages. It has a variety of data types and powerful operators. Due to this, programs written in C are highly efficient, fast, and easy to understand. C is highly portable. C programs written for one computer can easily run on another computer without any change or by doing a little change. C has the ability to extend itself. A C program is basically a collection of functions that are supported by a C library. This makes it easier to add our own function to the C library. C is a structured programming language. It forces the user to think of a problem in terms of functions, function modules, or blocks. Collection of these modules makes a complete program. This modular structure makes program debugging, testing, and maintenance easier. It can also make it harder. The disadvantages of C would be generally the more low level the language is, the harder it is for a developer to get things done. So C does not have the concept of object-oriented programming. That's why C++ was developed. There is no runtime checking in C, which means bugs will not be detected in every step, unlike in popular languages like Java. This makes it difficult to find errors in programs with long lines of code. There is no strict type checking in C. C doesn't have the concept of namespace. C doesn't have the concept of constructor and destructor, and it doesn't have support for exception handling. So that's it for C and C++. Pick one if you want to learn either of these. Just go. But my best bet would be for you to go for C++. Like for C, for example, it's meant for super senior developers, not just for beginners. But if you want to learn C just to get the whole basic concept of programming, yeah, you can learn C for that. But C++ is a good bet to start. Do check out all these links. They are all filled with tutorials for beginners, so make sure you check them out. Which is going to be the number 8 is C Sharp. C Sharp has grown in popularity in recent times because of Microsoft. They just introduced some new things. They also bought Xamarin, which allows you to code and develop C Sharp programs on your MacBook or on Linux. C Sharp is very useful. It's used also in game development with Unity 3D. So if game development is what you want to do, you need to check out this link right here. Also, if you want to learn web development with C Sharp as well, there is .NET framework, which is very good. I've also included a tutorial for you. It has its pros and cons though, which is the pros is that it borrows the object-oriented programming concepts from Java and C++, adopting only the good bits from these languages and eliminating the confusing and error-prone features. It can be used for web programming and web services, e.g. information sharing. It hides low-level details from the application developer and provides a wide range of library functions. It can also be used to write a wide range of applications due to its portability, from simple desktop widgets to high-end web services, secure system programming, and even robotics. The cons though is that, which is one of the major shortcomings of C Sharp, is that Programs in C# are largely for Microsoft Windows environments, which although happens to be the most widely used operating system over the globe, but with open source technologies like Linux catching up, C# still has a long way to go. But like I said, there is already Xamarin for you to develop applications in your Mac and all those other operating systems out there. Also, backward compatibility issues might be a problem with C#. Microsoft keeps retiring support for old Windows platforms, so applications built on earlier versions of C# or .NET might not work in later versions. Not same for Java, for example. A Java app that worked in Mac OS would work the same way in Linux and Windows platform. So these are the shortcomings of C#. But if you want to learn it, there is a lot of benefit. Like there's a lot of jobs for you out there. There's a lot of projects for you to do. It can help you to bring your idea from concept to inception. So do check it out. My list is Scala. Scala is very cool. Like it's very fast. It's a functional programming language built on JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Twitter, for example, moved all of its backend from Ruby to Scala. And Foursquare, Coursera, New York Times, LinkedIn, SoundCloud. All of these guys are examples of big companies using Scala. It's static typed system language, supports Java library, and its code is compiled to Java bytecode. Some of the advantages of learning Scala, for example, is that its competition for Scala jobs is very low as compared to Java developer jobs because of very less number of Scala developers. Scala is very difficult to learn though, but it's very good. Like as you can see, the payment for Scala developer jobs is big. So Scala developers are paid more generally than Java developers, and you get shorter lengths of code when compared to a Java code. Scala is so concise that it can replace up to 10 lines of Java code with just one line of Scala code. It's very good for data mining, data science. I'm also going to attach a link for you to learn data science with Scala in the description below. Some of the disadvantages, which I still count as an advantage actually, is that it's highly criticized for its learning curve. Some left Scala due to this same reason because it's very difficult to learn. Conciseness makes it so difficult that it's even harder to learn. The syntax is still similar to that of Java anyway. And Scala jobs are less in number but increasing day by day. Huge companies are moving to Scala these days, as you can see. Companies like Twitter, even Airbnb started moving their code to Scala little by little already. So the competition is never going to be high. So if you want to spend up to a year of learning with Scala, probably you're in your last year of college and you feel like you want to invest in yourself to get a better job and good pay by the time you graduate, now it's a good time for you to start learning Scala, so that by the time you graduate you just invest probably 6 months of full concentration and you're on for a job. But guarantee Scala is going to give you a job if you know it very well, because professionals in Scala is not so many out there, so you won't regret it. Give it a shot. My list is that language that everyone loves to hate. That's PHP. This is the number 10 on my list. PHP is majorly created for web development. It's still very popular today. It's still useful no matter what you say. It's cross-platform. Everybody writes different bullshit about PHP, but it's still the most popular language for web development. As you can see from here, it's 80% of the web applications online are built with PHP. You see PHP 774 million detections here. This is an application called Wapalizer. You can put it in your browser to check what's going on. So you see, even some of these languages that we argue about that are topping the chart, but anyway, for web applications are not that popular. You see PHP takes all the market share. So PHP is still very useful today. It's majorly created for web development. It's a server-side scripting language. It's cross-platform. It's very easy for you to find hosting for your web application built in PHP. It has a built-in module for connecting to database. PHP actually recognized the importance of databases to several websites, including e-commerce sites. This is actually some of the things that made it popular back in the days. So strong library support is also one of the good things about PHP. It has a lot of modules that are functional and makes your work easier. No need to develop these modules from scratch. For example, graphics module or PDF modules. For example, maybe you want to print your invoice in PDF to a customer. All those things are already done in PHP for you. So you just need to import the library. PHP is stable. It's been around since like 23 years ago. So it's still something viable. As you can see, it's also still popular. So if you learn PHP, you have a good life. You will still get a job, even though the market is competitive, meaning you will need to learn it very well. You will need to support your knowledge of PHP with something like Laravel framework, for example. Laravel is very good. It also makes your development easier. It makes you look more professional. So you don't just want to learn only PHP. You also want to include this Laravel framework with it. I've also included some links for you to learn Laravel if Laravel and PHP is the way you want to go. But don't start with Laravel, please. Make sure you learn the basics of PHP first before you go to any of these frameworks. Same with all of these languages. Make sure you learn the basics of all of these languages first before you go on and learn their libraries and frameworks. For example, JavaScript, you want to learn JavaScript very well before you would try and say you want to go with frameworks like AngularJS. By the way, TypeScript became popular because of AngularJS. Angular 2 is out now and it's boiling. It's really cool. I love it. I've been programming in it for a few months now. It's something you want to try as well, but make sure you learn JavaScript first. Like I said, learn JavaScript. Make sure you're very good with it. Then spend probably a day or a week with TypeScript before you now start. But my advice for you young programmers out there, I'm not talking to the matured ones, but if you're a beginner and you're watching this video right now, if you choose to learn any of these languages on this list, please and please make sure you spend at least 3 to 6 months with one of these languages. Make sure you write it down. Spend at least 5 hours on any of these languages every day for 3 months. By the time you're done, any questions you have, bring it to me. Let's fix it together. I will record a video on it for you. We'll fix it together. I will be ready to go on this journey with you. Let's learn together. Share your ideas. Tell me what you need to know. I'll work on it. I'll record a video for you to understand what's going on. Ask me any question. Shoot me an email or anything. I'll be available to help you. But make sure you concentrate on just one of this. Choose JavaScript. Choose Python. Choose Node.js, choose anyone, Swift, anything. Like this list, with this list, you're guaranteed a job in the industry. You're also guaranteed a complete project. You will build something viable, something useful for your community. You will be of service to your people if you choose to work with any of these projects right here. But my best bet, if you're a beginner, you would want to go with JavaScript or Python. That's the two most important languages here. If you learn it, you won't regret it. Come to me and comment on my videos. Let me know if this video is useful for you. I hope I've been able to help you. I've included salaries. I've included links for you to learn. I pray it's useful for you and you get to use it for something great. Thanks for watching this video. Bye. Try to subscribe, please. Thank you.